Hey, everybody, Life of an Average Joe podcast. Brandon Navarre here. I am back. What is on my face? I am back, and it is a spooky season episode, right? Let me adjust that light. There we go. A spooky season episode because we're continuing as we dive into Halloween and all the fun things that come with that, which I'm super excited about. Oh, and by the way, this is to the guy out there that said, I need to learn how to speak because my speaking style is horrible. That's what he told me. He proceeded to follow up with, I take too many breaks, I don't have a flow, and I don't edit out me taking sips, and I don't edit out anything. It's too raw. And he said if there was a good story, he couldn't tell. Mind you, he's commented on like 5 of my videos. So I went back and looked at him. I didn't respond, but I looked. I'm like, let me go. He's not wrong on some of the things. I've had some audio issues lately. I need to reinvest in my equipment, and I have. I got 2 new lights. I dialed it down a little bit this time. I've got a new stand. I've got a new mic that I'm looking at. I'm not using it right now, but I've got a new one. And I've also got a bunch of eggshells because I'm about to redo this little studio area for a better sound. So I admit to that. I admit it's long overdue to elevate my game on the show. It is. It really is. Here's the thing. That's a gray hair. That's not food. That's gray. That's cool. I don't care. I wish it was all gray, to be honest with you. But anyway, here's the thing. I looked at this guy's YouTube channel. He's got 10 followers, whatever. His videos, he hasn't posted but 2 or 3 videos. Who are you? And and he said this on YouTube and TikTok. I know that I got behind on YouTube and I didn't do it the way I should be doing it. I know that. I get way more views on my shorts than I do my actual videos. YouTube's a different animal. I need to invest in that, and I probably will, because eventually TikTok's going to be boring. We all know Facebook is boring. So, but what? Anyway, so he's not wrong on a couple things, but he's wrong on mostly everything. So let me take a sip of water for that guy real quick. And throw up the fingers, and there you go. But it's Halloween season, guys. Oh, my God. And, if you guys listened to last week's episode, I hope you did, because that was a fun one to dive into. Talking about, this is probably a lot. Let me fix this mic, guys. Hold on. We were talking about, oh my God, horrible situation I had with a crazy, might have been a witch, we don't know, and a Ouija board. So I recommend you listen to that. I am excited about Halloween. I've been a little delayed on a couple things. We just carved our pumpkin. This is actually the first year with my son that we've carved a pumpkin. In previous years, he's not wanted to carve it. He's wanted to paint it or draw on it, or we bought these really cool decorations and stickers. This is the first year that he's wanted to carve it. So we carved it. It's not a fun experience, I'll be honest. It's messy and whatever. And the pumpkins don't last long after you carve them. What was really cool about it before was, because we didn't cut it and hollow it out, my pumpkins lasted from October 1st when I bought them all the way till after Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, I threw them away on December 1st because I waited for Thanksgiving, November pumpkin season to be over. And even though I put up the Christmas tree and stuff right after Thanksgiving, I would throw the pumpkins away then. They'll be lucky if these things last, till November 10th. I mean, seriously. But we did that. I was a little behind. The decorating's done. I didn't get to really buy a lot of stuff this year that I wanted to. I bought a couple things, but I've been really watching a lot of movies. My son and I have been watching some fun stuff. And I wanted to talk about that because I feel like every year you go back and everybody's got, during these times of year, you always have those classics, those standbys. Every year around Christmas, I watch this. every Halloween I watch this, or every Thanksgiving, or once a year I get together and I binge watch Lord of the Rings, or whatever that may be. So for me, for Halloween, it's yes, there's those standbys, there's those classics. I always watch something connected to Jason, typically something connected to Freddy Krueger. And what I mean by that is one of the movies. I used to do Michael Myers, but I am so burned out on what they did with that franchise that I just don't care. I'm very much more excited about what they're doing for Jason because it seems to be an interest. I mean, he's in Fort Nightmares as a skin. Angry Orchard did the Thriller Pack, which they should have Michael Jackson, but it's called the Thriller Pack. And I'm not a big Angry Orchard fan, I'll be honest, but they had some really cool ciders in there. We drank one the other night or last week. It was like a pumpkin cider, but it really wasn't pumpkin. It was almost like this brown sugar hint of pumpkin, not the spice, but really this brown sugar cider. And it was good, but the cans are all done. It's like blood orange, cider, and everything's all done Halloween. It's a great pack. And they teamed with Friday the 13th. So one of them's got the hockey mask on. They have a short film that you can watch because there's a lot of hype surrounded about Jason and the potential for the next Friday the 13th movie and really revisiting that. We knew we had a prequel coming out, which really looked at Jason's mother and the camp and Jason as a young child. So there's a lot of hype around that, and I lean more into Jason. So I tend to watch Friday the 13th related movies. This year, I went back to a classic, right? So before I get into that, I always like to mix it with my standbys and new films because I think that's what makes it interesting. If you watch the same ones every year, you're going to get super bored. And I'm not one to get bored with my Halloweens movies. Some people, that's all they watch are the same ones every year. And that's cool. I like to find some new, I like to find some classics. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So as we're talking about slashers, let's start off with these icons right now. Number one, they are in Fort Nightmares. I am a 7-year-old and I've been having so much fun with Fortnite and Fort Nightmares. Not just because of Luke, but just in general, it's just fun. It's an easy game. You get some kills, you get some wins, you have some fun activities, you get these new skins, you're collecting them like Pokemon cards, and it's cool. Well, this Fort Nightmares, they really released some slashers. So we got Leatherface. Now, it is still very much a kid-friendly game. So his back bling that he has it's a stretched out face. Like if you cut somebody's face off, but it's animated and it's Peely. Peely is one of the characters in Fortnite. He's a banana. So it's a banana face. Like they tried to make it not so, hey, I'm a cannibal wearing human skin. Even the mask, if you look at it, it doesn't really look like the typical skin that he puts on. It really looks like leather. So that's cool. They also have Ghostface from Scream. They have Jason. And they've really, and I guess Art the Clown's coming. Probably by the time this drops. I'm not an Art the Clown guy. Not because I just don't like clowns. I don't like Terrifier and what it is as a whole. But Jason's at Creepy Camp, and it's called Creepy Campgrounds. And he's one of the bosses that you got to fight. And it's brutal because he's slow and walks, but he hits you and half your energy's gone. So I've been having a really good time with that. They've been doing all these little callbacks to the movies. You even hear the Jason music. So when I'm thinking about slashers and those horror icons, I think instantly you think Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, right? Those are the standby classic Mount Rushmore. Maybe throw Leatherface on there. Mount Rushmore of horror icons that have been doing it for decades. So I went back and I watched Freddy vs. Jason, which to me is probably one of the most fun installments in that franchise because it gets the best of both worlds. It is a direct follow-up to Jason Goes to Hell, which isn't good. And it still ties in to the Freddy lore. to what he was when he's alive. And if you think about that, if you think about what Freddy Krueger was when he's alive, it's almost more terrifying than what he turned into, which was the sarcastic, soul-sucking type demon monster, Dream World King. He was a child PDF, okay? He 86 and unalive kids and did other things, right? That is scary. The town got the revenge on him and killed him, but because he's so evil, he turned into something else. That whole story, despite the comical side and what the funny stuff we got with Freddy Krueger later in the movies, that whole story is terrifying by itself. So we get that. They discuss that in the Freddy Krueger, Freddy vs. Jason. And then you have Jason, another icon. And Freddy is using Jason to scare children and just unalive all them, because the town has forgotten about Freddy. They have formed this way to get the kids to erase all history of Freddy, and the ones that do know him are now trapped and subdued in this mental institution to where they can't remember. Well, if you can't remember Freddy, you're not afraid of him. He's got no power. He's just floating in dreamland. He needs fear, much like Pennywise, to have that power in dreamland so he can unalive all these kids. So he essentially uses Jason to go and kill a bunch of kids because they start thinking, oh my God, who is this? And they start getting terrified. And then the names, he starts doing these manipulations in the dreams where they start hearing his name. Freddy Krueger, what is he? All these sort of things. And he starts getting, scared, or the kids start getting scared again. And now Freddy can come. Simple story, not rocket science. But what's cool about it is Jason doesn't stop. He doesn't just I did it again, guys. I cut so thin right there that I have this little tiny spot and it's not connected. Oh my God. Oh well, I'm going to have to fix that. We'll just do this. We're just going to manipulate my skin, do that, and everything will be fine. Most people notice, most people probably wouldn't, but I'll just let it grow back and then the next day and it'll be fine. But the thing is, Jason won't stop and he won't let Freddy get his due. So ultimately they start fighting. And I love it because you have Aliens versus Predator. You have Godzilla versus King Kong. And in my opinion, this is better than both those movies. The Aliens versus Predator is a great idea, and I hope we see it again. The first Aliens versus Predator movie was fun. The second one wasn't that great. The first King Kong versus Godzilla, and I'm not talking about the OG from the 60s. I'm talking about the new one. Fun, but not great. And the second one was just dumb. It's just dumb. It's just big, dumb action, not entertaining. I think Freddy vs. Jason is both those. It has dumb moments. It takes the best out of both worlds when it comes to this horror icon, but it gives us something really entertaining to watch, and you're pulling for one of them, not worrying about the fact that these people are getting unalived. You're like, these guys are dumb, so let's just pull for one of these guys. And I lean towards Jason. I mean, who wants a PDF anyway? Jason was just a special needs kid that drowned and got picked on, and his mom was crazy. Freddy was a PDF, dude. Like, come on, bro. So that's kind of what I like going into. I don't think I'm going to watch any Halloween this year as far as Michael Myers. The way it ended was stupid. The final one where like a kid essentially wanted to be the next Michael Myers, it was just dumb. Everything about it was dumb. A horrible movie. Yeah, so I think I'm just so burned out. Freddy, I got my fill, and I don't know if I'll watch Leatherface. I might go back and watch, I believe it's the 2012 remake. I think that's actually a really good remake. What has happened after that with the spin-offs and prequels isn't good, but I think I want to go back and watch the 2012. If I have time, I'll do that. But there's been a lot of other icons out there. I mean, like I said, Art the Clown is a new icon. I'm not into it. We've got Pennywise back in the mix with a prequel that debuts on. It's a series, and it's going to show really the history of Pennywise, and it's going across the decades. So that's going to be interesting. It's also going to connect a lot of Stephen King's other characters and his books and all that. And that's on HBO, and I think that drops on the 26th of October. Speaking of franchises, though, I just watched Final Destination Bloodlines. And I remember the Final Destination movies like when I got out of high school or maybe my last year of high school, right around then. And so this has been going on for a long time. And I liked the concept about death being the villain, quote unquote, but not having him really be an entity, not like a Grim Reaper, not like it's just this thing that happens, this force of nature, and you can't mess up the timeline of death. And it got real creative, and of course scared all of us. Certain instances, whether that be flying, water slides, driving behind a truck. So Bloodlines does a really good job. I think the movies in between haven't been that great for me, and I never really cared. Bloodlines, though, goes all the way back, and it gives you this history, and it gives you a lot of depth, and you get to know the characters, and has really unique kills in it, and makes it creepy while not giving you a slasher, a murder, a paranormal, demonic presence. It's just death, which is something we all face, right? So I've really enjoyed that. That's on HBO Max. I thought that was the best one out of this. Yeah, these best ones, excuse me, out of the series, probably in years, honestly. And it's amazing to me that they did what they did with this franchise. Unlike the Scream franchise, which I feel has tapered, I feel like the first one was great, then it dropped, then it came back, and now we're about to have Scream 7. And I don't know if it's really fair to call Ghostface this amazing slasher horror icon, because he's been so many different people. It's not one person, it's a multitude of people for a multitude of reasons. So yes, the costume is iconic, and the idea about horror movies and the way they presented it in the beginning was iconic, but I don't know if he falls in the same category. That character can fall in the same category as Leatherface or Jason. I do enjoy the Scream movies. I didn't really care about the last one or the last several, but I will never forget the first one because I thought it was very fresh. And that's something that I think is really cool with horror movies. We need a fresh take on horror films. Amazon Prime and Shudder has a fresh take. And if you look at some of these franchises that have been going on for a long time, like Final Destination, Bloodlines was very familiar, but very new. The VHS films, which I'm always disappointed in the found footage films. I like the idea of a found footage film because think about it. It's like you discover something, you're on the wrong side of the internet and you find a video and it could be real, it could be not. It almost reminds me like the back in the day, the Faces of Death videos where, yeah, could this be real? Is this fake? Did we just discover some weird footage from this other country? Like, oh my God, what happened? So like when you go back to the found footage films, and they've been around for a while, but you look at Blair Witch, which again, the Blair Witch Project was fresh when it came out, was brand new concept of this documentary. The whole marketing behind it was an interesting documentary because again, the internet was there. It was not what it was now. We had MySpace and we're getting into Facebook. We didn't have all this other social media and all that. So we didn't have all these spoilers ahead. But the way they marketed the Blair Witch was as a real story, as a documentary. Even the website, it just said the Blair Witch film. So when you say film compared to movie, it almost makes you think, oh, this is real. This is much more important than just a movie. And even the website, it had the story of the Blair Witch and the missing posters. And they interviewed people that were living in this town that knew about the Blair Witch and knew about these people that went in the woods. And it was almost like years later, they're like, yeah, we don't really talk about it. But so this whole thing felt real. It was great marketing. And then you went in to a movie with a bunch of no names and a low budget, and they're filming it with a camcorder. So you had this authenticity to it that we hadn't really seen much of. Not to say they never did it, but you didn't see it as much as we do now. And it had this moment where you're like, okay, is this real footage, or are they basing this off of something real? And it took people a long time to realize this is a movie, guys. Because I remember, like, it was really cool about it. After the film, the actors weren't at any award show. They weren't at the MTV Movie Awards. They didn't do any interviews about the movie. They went silent, and that was part of the marketing. It was months. They were hiding. They were just, nobody could find them. And the reason they did that was because they wanted everybody to think that this was real and that these people died. And then, of course, they came out with the Blair Witch 2, which was trash. And then I think there was another one after that. That was total. And now my Alexa's talking. I conjured up Alexa, stop. I conjured up the Blair Witch in my Alexa for some reason, giving me the forecast, which I don't care about. But they came out with another one, and those were trash. And I remember the second one was like, okay, we're going to scratch that film, but the Blair Witch is real. Let's go and find out. And then it just never really took. Now, I don't know the longevity and the shelf life, so to speak, of the Blair Witch, because so many things have happened after it. But when it came out, that found footage style documentary, huge. So I'm never a big fan of them. I think there's some are really good and others, it's like the Paranormal Activities I've always hated. I couldn't stand them. They're just so boring. But I did watch one. And it was part of the VHS franchise. Now, if you don't know VHS and you're not familiar, and I'm not talking about the actual videotapes, VHS was a series that's been going on for a while now of found footage. The very first one to me is very creepy. These people discover these tapes. And like they bought these tapes, and it has like a cast in the beginning, and they buy these tapes and they're watching them, and it's all these weird things. One of them is about a girl they pick up who's supposed to be like not a hooker, but maybe, and they're staying in a hotel room, and she ends up being this like beastly vampire monster. There's one with about a cult. And I remember like everybody's starting to kill themselves. Like it's just weird stuff. And it's all found footage or security cameras or interviews and clips. And they're all typically brutal, but there's different in this anthology. There's all these different things. And then there's usually one overlap story that connects it all. Most of the VHS ones have been super entertaining. Some have been really bad. Well, Shudder, which is like the horror streaming service, and sometimes you can watch these things on Amazon, has VHS Halloween. VHS Halloween is amazing. The VHS Halloween is probably one of the best that I have seen in a long time. And I'm talking every story, for the most part, was good. And some of these found footage stories got too real. Like there's one about this guy who ran a video store, like a electronics store. He framed his employee for being a child, you know what? But it wasn't a child PDF situation. It was, did some nasty cannibalistic stuff, okay? Because of that, I was like, they did such a good job with the twist in here. Now, mind you, it's all found footage stuff. He's recording stuff, but it's also connected to the main story. Dude, I got to tell you, VHS Halloween, top notch. I highly recommend watching it. If you guys are a fan of the franchise, if you're not, or if you've never seen one, start off with the first one then jump right to VH1 Halloween. It is cool, especially because they also tie in most of the stuff around Halloween. So most of it is tied in around Halloween. Guys, something popped up on my screen. I hope it's not recording this. It's weird. It's just this weird little warning. I don't know. Anyway, I wish it'd go away. But I hope it doesn't ruin this video because I don't want to record it again. And I'm not going to. So there you go. I've enjoyed that. HBO Max has done a really good job. Not just besides the It series, it's done a really good job of showing classics. It's got The Mummy, Frankenstein Meets the Werewolf. It's got a lot of Vincent Price movies on there. And that has been real fun to dive in. I just watched Eyes Without a Face. I hadn't seen it in years. Awesome movie. Ironically, or not ironically too, that was the inspiration for Billy Idol's song, Eyes Without a Face. He watched this movie, and it is about a doctor that performs these surgeries, and he's trying to help his daughter to create all these things to her reconstructive surgery, and it's literally no face. Can't really see a face, and this person has eyes. And then, look, that's all I'm going to say, but he was inspired by this film, Eyes Without a Face. And the movie is very creepy, especially when you think about this day and age with plastic surgery and what people are doing to themselves and what they're trying to do to look pretty and healthy, and how distorted the world's view is on that, and how distorted some of these doctors are for allowing these surgeries. But this was a long time. This is an old black and white movie. Very good. And HBO Max has done a really good job of adding that stuff on there. So now when you're thinking about family movies, there's all kinds. I love Paranorman. Paranorman's a great animated family horror film or Halloween film. It is kind of creepy. And it's about this guy, this kid, he kind of doesn't fit in, and he could communicate with the dead, and nobody believes him. And he stumbles upon a curse on this town that's going to bring this witch back, that's going to enslave humanity and bring zombies back. And so it's a combination of like Blair Witch meets zombies and Goonies, but it's a kid's cartoon. It's hilarious at times, but also kind of creepy at times too. So really cool for the kids. Of course, I'm a big fan of Coraline, Monster House. Those are all fun animated ones. Luke and I have watched Shaun of the Dead. Rim of the World is an alien movie that we've watched that can still fit in the horror category. We're going to watch At World's End, which is another Simon Pegg film, and the cast of Shaun of the Dead. I've seen it, but they're trying to do a bar crawl, and they go to this bar, and the town is it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So, those are some that we're going to watch. Luke and I on Halloween are going to watch Megan 2.0. I'm not excited for that because the movie looked like crap, but he wants to watch it. So I know it's not going to be scary. And he's already seen the first Megan, which really wasn't scary anyway. So we're going to check that out. And that has been some of the gems that I've had. And I have to tell you, Amazon Prime has been cranking out some really good horror movies. If you want to follow and see what I've been watching, I'm documenting all of them. Each day I do a review. It may not be the only movie I watch that day, but I pick a movie to review. You can check that out on TikTok and social media. They're all on my website as well. But at the end of this, I will post, like at the end of the 31 Days of Horror, I will post every single thing I watched connected to spooky season, because that's pretty much what I watched. Now, there's some things I've watched with Luke. I mean, we watched K-pop Demon Hunters. Bro, yes, I'm a fan. Yes, I'm into it. Yes, the songs are stuck in my head. I'm all about it. And it still fits spooky season. It's K-pop Demon Hunters, for crying out loud. So there are so many different things you can do. Tubi has a lot of free ones. Peacock is another great platform if you just want to get it for spooky season. I think they're doing better than Netflix, but I think a lot of people are doing better than Netflix. So anyways, let me know what you think, guys. What you watch. I hope some of these ideas will get you thinking, and I want to hear what you've been enjoying for spooky season. Come back next week. We got 2 more spooky episodes to go.